I just want to put it out there for anyone attending Contact in the Desert 2027. Sam and I have a special surprise for you. We've already been planning something that we'll reveal at Contact in the Desert. So stay tuned. You have to be there to see it.
Both of you occupy a zoot suit together, or maybe like be the opposite ends of a horse or something.
Just
It'll
prepare
be wild,
yourselves.
rampant
Just prepare
speculation for a
yourself.
year.
And it's tasteful.
Roz,
Yes.
let's room together and they can get their room together and you and I can
Sure.
just pretend we don't know them the whole
Let's
weekend.
do it. I think that sounds
Okay.
fun. I like that plan.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to a new live episode of The Signal, where the news kind of built up, so we're just going to dive in. I have some amazing guests to introduce, first of all. You know Roz very well, and joining us as well today is Dale, her husband. They are my incredible creative team. They were so helpful at Contact in the Desert. Please say welcome to Dale and Roz.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. I'm
Hey,
in the
Dan.
chat, too. I'm over here just getting started, saying hello to everybody.
Amazing. That's great. Dale, I see you're from the future there. You're in the cool barn. I haven't seen you in here before. Is this your meditation barn?
I should say Roz's meditation barn more than mine. Yeah, it's our little playground outside. It's an awesome little space, and we don't enjoy it all year round. Only it's Canada, right? So only in the summer months. So I thought I'd be out here and record from here.
Very cool. Okay, so I'm going to introduce our next guests. Please welcome Kelly and Sam from the amazing Frightday podcast. They were an incredible help to us at Contact in the Desert. We all became friends. They are a second family now.
So nice to be here. Thanks for having us, you guys.
This is such a treat. I honestly still geeking out a little bit that I get to hang out with you guys.
So before we go any further, I want you guys to tell people about your podcast.
Okay, so Sam asked me to do this, which is funny because he's actually much more well-spoken. But we have two podcasts. Frightday was our original podcast, and we talk about all sorts of weird things, including spooky movies. And then we also have an offshoot podcast called Visitors, where we get to sit down and talk with all sorts of different people in the space, scientists and creators, and just get the pleasure to have one-on-ones with those individuals. So yeah, that's our background, and we're just nerdy and loved Contact and had a blast with these guys. So we're excited to be on one of our favorite podcasts, hanging out with this crew.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's first time on, and we are going to play UFO or UF No. It might be UFO or it might be UF No. It's up to you to figure out and guess. So I'm just going to show you, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay.
So for anyone listening, there's a light off in the distance. You know, it's looks like it's shot on a mountainside overlooking a valley. And then the camera zooms in a little bit. It appears to me like it takes off very, very quickly at the end or disappears. Am I seeing that the same way?
Was there and gone.
I don't want to say, I don't want to bias the jury. So I'm going to, I filmed this. So let me tell you a little bit about where I filmed it. At Contact in the Desert, which I'll be talking about later, I got to go into the desert with the Skywatcher team, the Psionic Assets, who say they can summon these things using consciousness. So that's what we were doing. They told me the protocols. We'll go into it a little bit later, but I filmed this during that. Okay. They did have 9 cameras set up all around that were thermal and infrared and things like that. So they should have good footage of, what I'm showing you, as well as other things. But yeah, this was the only one I filmed because they were filming, so you didn't need to film, right? But I wish I filmed more.
I'm going with UFO. I feel like it's flying. It's unidentified, and it appears to be an object. Like it's solid. It's reflecting light. It looks pretty unique, although it looked just like a kind of a star, like a close star on the horizon for a while until it seemed to have some movement characteristics, which are really weird.
I would second that. Second it.
Sam?
I gotta go UF No. It's just, it could be anything. I know the circumstances now of its filming, so that makes me maybe second guess myself a little bit, because why would Dan film it if it was just a plane? But I'm going with UF No.
I'm going with UFO. And just for the record, Sam's nickname is Neil.
Putting the ass into grass over there, Sam.
Oh,
Scully.
Hey, you be nice to science communicators, all right? We serve a valuable role.
Sure. You are correct.
Yeah.
I will. I'm
Neil
sorry. I'll
Scully.
behave.
That's his new nickname, Neil Scully. Yeah.
So we have 3 for UFO or 1 for UF no. Is that correct?
Correct, Benji. Benji says without verifiable information, it is technically a UFO. Exactly. We're going technical here. We have a technical UFO.
But
I like
Dan's going to
it.
give us more information at the end.
I don't want to say anything. I'll do like a drum roll and I'll show you. No one's a fool for whatever they think, okay? This week, we have an incredible movie coming out that I'm super excited for. But before we get into kind of sharing our expectations, none of us have seen Disclosure Day, I'm fairly sure. I'm just going to play a little clip from our latest episode where we dive into, and we put so much, I think this was like 3 months from idea to finished video. And we aimed for this week to release it and everything, but it's a look at how Spielberg has depicted the alien over, the last 70 years of his career. And yeah, I'm just going to play this little intro clip and tease you all, and then we'll get into it.
Today, we're talking about Steven Spielberg, specifically his aliens. Because across 7 decades of filmmaking, Spielberg has returned again and again to the same question. What are those things in the sky? And what the hell do they want from us? And tracking how his idea of the extraterrestrial has shifted across his lifetime tells us something revealing, not just about Spielberg, but about all of us. Because the alien in Spielberg's hands has never really been about what's out there. The alien has been a mirror, and the face it reflects is ours.
So there's a little teaser for our latest episode. I am told it is a tearjerker. Dr. Michael Masters said keep some tissues handy. So yeah, enjoy it. A lot of hard work there. So let's go around the room. We'll start at the top of my screen here is Sam. So Sam, tell me your expectations for Disclosure Day. And when are you and Kelly seeing it?
We actually had tickets initially for tomorrow, but then we had conflicts, so we had to rebook. We're going to see it on Friday. Is that right, Kel?
Friday, 4:30.
Yeah, Friday at 4:30. Honestly, I'm excited. I love Spielberg, and I'm expecting a Spielberg movie. I'm expecting to be entertained. I've been very deliberately avoiding any of the more detailed trailers, any discussion online, because I don't want to know. I want to go into it with a sense of wonder, because that's what Spielberg's films are for me. I mean, when I saw E.T. as a kid, I mean, Jaws, like any of his things are just best kind of experienced, just dove into it with both feet. I will be interested to see how the community responds to some of the aspects that it sounds like are touched on with the disclosure, and what maybe Spielberg knew versus what he didn't know, what's Hollywood, what's fed by the IC. So again, I'm withholding judgment on its utility as a disclosure vessel, but I'm basically positive, 99% sure I'm going to love it from a film's perspective.
Okay, Roz, we're going to jump to you now. Go.
I mean, Dan, we just spent how many days, putting together the Spielberg retrospective.
Are you sick of him yet? Do you not even want to see it?
So I'm pretty excited. It's fair to say. I'm really glad that, we did that video, because I feel like I learned so much more about his whole, theology throughout, like you said, the 70 years of his career. So I feel like I'm well armed now to go into it and have kind of more of maybe a sense, but I'm totally along the lines of what Sam said, which is I've tried not to watch too much stuff. I'm not reading really anything at all, because I want to just be as, I want it to be as much of an surprise as possible. So yeah, I'm super excited. We got our tickets. We're going with our good friends next door. One person who works in the film industry, television industry, and is also a big movie buff. So I think it's going to be a total blast. I'm super excited. We have the recliners, you guys. We're doing the AVX experience or whatever. We have not doing IMAX, but yeah, I'm stoked. Can you tell?
Amazing. Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Okay, Dale, shoot.
Okay.
We actually recounted it. So we did a Christmas show. Richard Haddon was on, Luis Elizondo, myself, Roz. And we were kind of going around the room about what to expect this year. And we obviously were talking about Disclosure Day, and everyone kind of shared their ideas then. And, what shifted for me is kind of more the temperature of like the recent news, efforts by the group in Congress and whistleblowers to really get Trump's assistants to disclose. It's kind of a statement piece. Like, does it take someone like that? And definitely much of the UFO community is really tired of, as much as we all love David Grush, et cetera, it's like, if you've got something, man, play your cards, lay it out there, give it to the world, break the law, do it. If it's that important, if this is about the truth of our reality and what's being hidden from us, it's big enough stakes to break the law and do it. And it looks like you've got enough momentum now to protect you. So like, I'm interested to see how those stakes play out in the characterization and in the plot of Disclosure Day. And for sure, I've already said to Roz, I'm going to go see this film multiple times. I don't think it's a film I can absorb in one go. And, having the opportunity to see it on the big screen in the setting it's meant for, I think I should try to soak that up. So Roz and I will probably go at least a few times.
Okay. Only one person we haven't heard from. Please go ahead, Kelly.
So a lot of my thoughts on it are actually tied to things I know we're going to discuss later. So there's a connection that I have to something that happened at Contact with Jacques Vallée. There's a connection I have to something Grush said yesterday on the steps of the Capitol. But I think big picture for me, I go into movies like this trying to hold space for two different things. One is exactly what Sam talked about. Just go and enjoy it because Steven Spielberg's an incredible filmmaker. And we're actually going with our daughters and with my parents. So we're going to have like a regenerational experience, which I think will be pretty fun. The other part of me can't help but hope that there's something in here that gives us a few nuggets. And certainly, Roz, when you caught what Spielberg said at South by Southwest earlier this year, that really hyped that part of my brain up for, the lore surrounding what Spielberg may or may not know about this topic. And I wouldn't say that I'm counting on that, but there's definitely a part of my brain that's hyped and hoping we get a couple little nuggets that might be more than fictional.
Yeah, nice. I'm really excited for it. I like you, Kelly. I go in whenever I see a movie since I'd studied film. I can't switch that analytical part of my brain off. So I'm like holding space for two interpretations. That is, did I enjoy it and did it set out to do what it set out to do? Two separate things, in my opinion, right? I'm looking forward to an awesome Spielberg summer blockbuster movie that's UFO. His Close Encounters of the Third Kind is one of the all-time greats. Like, who couldn't be excited about that possibility of even getting close to that again? But then I'm also hoping that there's some information in there that when people go and see this, they kind of get like a little highly, like really well-produced summary of UFO lore since like the 40s. And can just learn more about the subject and become more intrigued because with this, this DC event that was going on and the hearings and everything like that, I think it's piqued everybody's interest. And if the pressure builds correctly from this film, then it could cause Disclosure Day, right? But we'll see. We'll see. On that note, I do have a little kind of summary highlights reel from the event yesterday. So I'm going to play that and then we'll get into it. For people that don't know, a whole bunch of lawmakers, James Fox, the documentarian, so many different people joined David Grush on the steps of the U.S. Capitol yesterday to make a plea to President Trump to declassify everything to do with UFOs, UAP, non-human intelligence, all that jazz, and also dissolve the NDAs of the people who are in that legacy program. So I'm going to play the highlights for you. Have a listen, even if you're on audio, and then we'll dive in. Here goes.
I don't know what the full truth is, but I know we're being lied to. And the American people know that also. And so, look, the time for disclosure is now. Disclosure today, disclosure tomorrow.
And so our next call to action will be that we are meeting with the White House. We are requesting that whistleblowers receive temporary immunity or permanent immunity, and if they are able to divulge whether it is locations of craft and or advanced technologies.
It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending all these millions and possibly billions of dollars on that these idiots tell us don't exist. And then yet we turn right around in the skip and then they tell us they do exist.
The potential existence of another living, intelligent, advanced species has more implications for humanity than the recovery of technological hardware. Unlike legitimate national security concerns that require us to keep advanced technologies of non-human origin secret, that justification should not apply to biological evidence. Knowledge of the existence of another life form, studied and documented by qualified experts, should not be considered a threat to national security.
This is a cover-up. You all know it. We know it. We demand the answers, and dadgummit, we're going to get them.
Joining them on Capitol Hill was retired Air Force intelligence officer David Grush. Grush testified at the first ever hearing on unidentified aerial phenomena back in July of 2023.
Many of the president's team has been kept in the dark by high-ego, politically appointed actors, both because of incompetence and malicious intent has subverted the president's order on this issue. Furthermore, some of this foreign intelligence has not been provided to Congress despite lawful requests to the Defense Intelligence Agency last summer, and also having formally been published across the IC and analyzed by such analytical centers such as NASIC. These records belong under congressional oversight, and I believe DIA should stop obstructing Chairwoman Luna's task force and provide those documents to Congress and enter it through mandatory declassification review so the American public can see some of the foreign intelligence I had access to. In my official duties, I was exposed to human and signals intelligence information concerning foreign adversary, UAP crash retrieval, exploitation and study efforts, adversary views on U.S. legacy program reverse engineering efforts, and U.S.-held audiovisual information related to crash retrieval matters, such as the recovered vehicles and the associated biological material. I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporeal bipedal type life to, what I would consider like sentient plasmoid life, but there are several that the U.S. government is aware of.
David Grush coming out swinging there at the end when he was asked about life that the U.S. government knows about. The event itself was a plea, like I say, to get President Trump to follow up what he said and start declassifying everything with executive orders, because he hasn't done that yet so far. We all saw what the trenches being released led to, aliens.gov, and pinning it on immigrants who are just trying to find a better way of life. Don't make your country sound so appealing if you don't want people to come in to live there, But yeah, let's go around the room. What did you think of this event? Do you think it's going to have like an impact?
Who wants to dive into that one first?
Honestly, I don't think it will. There were some really interesting things there, especially from Grush, but I also feel like it's turning into a little bit of an echo chamber, especially with the politicians that are involved. Other than Moskowitz, there's no penalty to Trump for not doing what they're asking. They're gonna back him no matter what. Luna and Burchett, they're gonna be there no matter what for Trump. So he doesn't really need to listen to them because there's no penalty to him. I think the more information that we get out there, even if it's just in little kind of almost asides or in the questions, like we got right there. Obviously, more is better. And I just wonder where the line is for some of these whistleblowers. They seem to be getting closer and closer to towing that line. And I wonder how long it's going to be before this is also normalized, that someone just has a misstep with this kind of newly acquired comfort for discussion of these issues, and maybe we get some really big bombshell, and especially from the disclosure perspective, I think most of us are not waiting for any kind of official confirmation. It would be nice to have the information, like we know what we believe, what we know, but I would like to know what the government knows strictly from like a scientific and human standpoint. I would like to know these things. I don't need them to say yes or no because it's the government. Who cares what they say? I just want that information that they're holding.
Yeah, I can respect that. You want them to treat you like an adult, give you what belongs to the taxpayer, and let you see what they see. Enough with the games. Dale, what do you think?
I'll go on the flip side from Sam. I think this is an historic event. It's very different from the National Press Club way back when. That was a plea when you put together a number of high-ranking government officials from around the world. Um, Robert Hastings being there, UFOs and nukes, and really trying to say there's a there. There's real stories here. Let's give you credible people with bulletproof backgrounds, and we'll tell incredible stories. So there's a there. Now here we are, and they are hot on the trail, investigating and pushing to try to get the truth out, seeing an opportunity. This group standing there yesterday, really compelling to me, especially with David Grush there, if you put a couple pieces together. So in Age of Disclosure, Dr. Eric Davis, at the end, he's very coy, but there's a little bit there where he's basically alluding to, if I get immunity, I'll spill the beans. Look, I don't want to go to jail, and I don't want to defy our laws. I don't want to be treasonous. I don't want to, right? I want immunity, and I'll come forward. And I think he's just the tip of the iceberg. I think Luna, Moskowitz, Burchett, and of course, Rep. Burleson, they all have lined up testimony. They have evidence. We know that Grush has testified to the ICIG about the whereabouts of craft and biologics. So what they need is, we got to get the White House. We got to get Trump. We need something like an executive order, something that's going to have enough teeth and stand there for us to allow to rush and basically deputize all of this testimony and go after the goodies for George Knapp. I just see that there's a game plan here, and this is a part of it. I also, there were some reports that directly from Stephen Miller, that he reached out to Luna, I believe it was. So there's contact going on from inside the administration to these. They're trying to get a direct beat. I know Burleson's been, playing as nice as possible with the Trump crew to try to get as much power and weight and gravitas, sell it to Trump that he could be the disclosure president that will seal his legacy. They're trying in multiple ways. I just see that effort in the culmination, also including journalists like Leslie Kane and, of course, filmmaker James Fox, people key to this effort and movement. I just think there's a lot going on behind the scenes. They're trying to line these things up. They've got a chess match that they think that they can get a checkmate on. We'll see. I'm hopeful and optimistic.
Dan, you're still muted.
Classic. I used to mute myself all the time. It was like a catchphrase. I was on mute. Yeah, I totally agree, Dale. I think you made some really good points there, and it's interesting that we're in a position where we kind of have someone that's so easily manipulable to appeal to the ego to try and get this over the line. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Kelly.
Yeah, Dale, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that. I think, to me, the problem is what they're asking for. Donald Trump can't really even grant. Even if he grants immunity, the ramifications that come back on a lot of these whistleblowers are far beyond the executive branch's control. And I think, despite the direction that politics are moving in our country, Donald Trump really doesn't have the final say on everything. And even if he does fall on the right side of this issue, I worry about the people who have already faced such horrible repercussions for what they've come out and said. And so I think it felt a little bit disingenuous for them to say, we want you to come forward, when they really can't offer that protection right now. And even if Donald Trump does what they're asking, I still don't think they can really offer that protection. But the flip side of it is, there were a couple things said that made me very hopeful. One of them that I thought was interesting, right at the top of the conference when James Fox came out as the first speaker, he said very specifically that the Brazilian Minister of Defense has said on record he will give details if the United States discloses information on the Varginha case. And that, I think, is really big, because that is a direct, specific, itemized issue that, a very brief bit of information could come out on that would kind of let some dominoes fall. And it also speaks to where I put more of my hope, which is in the international scene. The French National Assembly is going to have an event at the end of this month where there will be a lot of governmental officials in France discussing this issue from a very serious standpoint. And, they have for years. And I think looking to some of the other international leaders that might be able to let more information out, I think the more events like this happen, the more likely it is that that gains momentum, even if it does not move the needle within our own government. And I think that's really huge. The other thing was something that Leslie Kean said, and I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it, but she really emphasized this idea. Everybody's talking about national security. We can't disclose this because it has to do with weapons and advanced technology. And she said, the issue is, sure, there's advanced technology that's being discussed here, but we're also talking about advanced biologics, and there's no reason to put advanced biologics behind a national security we can't disclose reason. So I think if we lean more into that idea, and certainly David Grush made mention of, that compendium of sentient plasmoid to bipedal corporeal beings, that leaves a whole lot in between. But it's certainly hinting at the fact that, yeah, there is some advanced biologics here that has nothing to do with advanced weaponry. And that becomes a lot harder to gatekeep, at least for the US government, in anything other than just saying, we don't want you to know. The whole national security idea doesn't really hold water for that. And I want more people to be discussing that.
Really interesting, Kelly. Two things you mentioned there. One, France. France have had Gaipan for the longest time, and they do great studies and great reports, and have been very open about the fact that they think the EC theory is one of the only theories that fits the data that they've gathered in France. They've been very open talking about it. Jacques Vallée kind of comes from that area too. But also about 100 years ago, maybe more, the head of the Astronomy Society in France, Lavoisier, he said to a farmer that brought him a meteorite, he said, there are no rocks in the sky, therefore they can't fall from the sky. How wrong he was and how arrogant he was to say that to a farmer. I think it's worth reflecting on how far they've come in France, but also how far we've come. We're still trying to convince people like Neil deGrasse Tyson, emphasis on the ass, that people actually, just because they're not trained observers, it doesn't mean they don't know what a goddamn rock looks like or a spaceship or something like that. It's like you don't have to be an expert to figure that one out. Roz, what do you think?
Guys, I'm going to be the total wet rag on this conversation. I'm sorry. I'm bored. I'm really bored, I am just so tired of press conference after press conference and people saying stuff and people saying more stuff and then nothing really happening. And, I'm finding it hard to stay engaged. As cool as it was to see everybody standing there, that was an amazing moment. It was really cool. And I looked at Dale because we were kind of both watching it on our lunch break or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is historic. I can't believe all these people are here. It was really cool to see them all together. But I felt like it was just more of the same, although, I'm glad that they're putting pressure on. And I think, it seems to be building, this pressure seems to be mounting. And so, maybe this is what's needed is they've got to get out there in front of everybody. And I did love, watching Burchett just pointing his finger and getting real pissed.
He's an angry little guy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I thought it was interesting, but I'm at the point where I'm okay, enough already. I'm ready to see some real movement. So anyway, it all has to come with work, right? So maybe this is just the work part.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't think you're entirely wrong there either, Roz. I'm seeing that sentiment around a lot that, just show us the stuff. I've seen Giorgio Tsoukalis, who is, famously the Ancient Aliens guy, said, enough talking, shut up, show us the evidence, or get off. As we say in the UK, shit or get off the pot. That's what that's the saying. So
that's right.
Yeah, we're kind of at that point. So I think for me, my expectation was just the plea. I didn't expect evidence. I didn't expect these kind of things, but I've seen a lot of people disappointed that wasn't there. But I also know that I'm a massive UFO nerd. So I'm going to be following along with granularity, mostly so I can bring you the show. But this show is just tangential. I watch this stuff anyway. So I'm like, well, I'll put it in the show then. But Yeah, fully. It's kind of like just stories over and over and over again. And if you're plugged into this every day, then you know all the things that they're talking about, which is why those kind of moments of Grush pointing out the compendium of corporeal bipedal type life to sentient plasmoid life, that was really interesting. That was kind of new. We haven't heard that from him before. He also pointed a finger at the DIA for not releasing information. And we know that the DIA were who funded ORSAP back in the day that became ATIP that, Lou Elizondo spilled out of. As they stormed out of and kicked the door down and started telling everyone about it. So the DIA just have their hands really deep in this. And Lakatsky, who ran the program, ORSAP, has said before, we weren't studying UFOs, we were studying the paranormal because this thing comes in multiple different shapes. So it's interesting that David Grush is pointing the finger there. We know they're withholding the Bigelow reports and that Bigelow kind of has ownership over those. A couple have leaked out, but not the full thing, so we can't see the full amount of data. People like Chris Bartel are talking about their days in the program being used as kind of human sensors, but it gets a little dodgy because, if I tell you to approach a UFO that I think has landed in a field and you get radiation poisoning from it, that's kind of on me, right? Telling you to go over there. And if you're paid as a job to approach that UFO, there's hazard pay, there's all this other stuff that kind of comes into it. And, touches on essentially why we feel like, why so many of us feel like they're hiding crimes as opposed to the UFOs. They're hiding people they've harmed, not the aliens. So we'll see with that. But I totally take your point, Roz. It almost feels like a small room filled with really enthusiastic people, but it is still a small room. And the real world kind of isn't really talking about it. They're more obsessed with Disclosure Day coming out, right?
Mhm.
Interesting news. Go on, Sam.
I was just going to say, I love the idea of a physical compendium of this, like a monster manual that they just have on the shelf, and they just flip it open and they get the stats and everything for whatever it is that they're seeing, and then they have to
like
roll.
top Trump's. Or Trump's, what was it? Trump's binders of women, but aliens. That would be a much better binder to look at. Seeing Leslie Kean move from journalist to activist has been interesting. Her point about the biologics shouldn't be classified. I agree, unless the biologics are kind of some gel-like life form that's occupied by microbial life from elsewhere and seeps into the cracks in a ship and controls it and could become a virus to us. Like, we don't want that, right? Like the black oil in the X-Files, no one wants that around. We're all talking about if there's an alien body, we want to be able to see the body. Something that Grush said that kind of went, not so much under the radar, but he pointed out that he was exposed to foreign intelligence that was looking at the US's legacy program, reverse engineering, all that kind of stuff, but also the Robertson panel. And he had access to that. Wait, who's not muted?
Me. That's me.
Mom. So yeah, he had access to all that foreign intelligence that pointed to a disinformation campaign by the CIA about the UFO issue. And Reese Dalton Morgan, who we actually met at Contact, hey Reese, if you're watching, he actually chased this down. So we have a little bit more information on this. He wrote, everyone's talking about the 1971 Australian documents that Grush mentioned. What the documents don't tell you is that Harry Turner, the guy who wrote them, was flown to the US in the 1960s by the CIA and briefed into UFO legacy programs for 6 weeks as part of his job. Turner was also secretly training at Harwell, 54 to 55, to become a nuclear intelligence officer, and that's how he found out about the anti-gravity research projects. So this is all rooted in what the document that Grush brought forward, which is amazing. He goes on to say that they're trying to get more records out, but they're all classified. So that's an amazing little tidbit on top of that, this guy didn't just do the counter intel and find it. He was brought in and told what it was to shut him up talking about it. So I want to hear more about that story. Reese, keep pulling on that thread. You're doing amazingly. And also, then we have the fact that Jeremy Corbell recently said that if the US government does not release files that are referenced in his file system, that was in the new movie Sleeping Dog, you had things labeled like biologics and NHI and craft and, the full gamut. He said if they don't release this stuff, he's releasing it. So it almost feels like we're on the cusp of kind of catastrophic disclosure, and this maybe event was kind of a last chance for the legacy program to do something substantial and just let just a little bit out. Just tell us we're not alone. That shouldn't be classified. I say that with no history of why, with no knowledge of why it is classified, of course. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. It's interesting. It's never had the attention of the president before, and really, what matters is how this ricochets on social media. If we see a lot of clips going around and stuff, then it's caught the vibe. If it doesn't, then it's being smushed out by Disclosure Day. But both of them are UFO conversations. They're both good things, I think, ultimately. Okay.
Yeah, just to jump in on that, I was
Sure.
going to say I
Yeah.
thought it was interesting timing, like with the Disclosure Day coming out. I feel like they all probably know that there's so much attention on this topic right now because of the film. So, I was saying to Dale, I was like, wouldn't this be hilarious if it was all like, a big promotional campaign for Spielberg's film, right? Like somehow he managed to get them all there to, just get it going even more. But we've seen it, Dan, like the Spielberg clips that we do, like leading up to the film. I mean, there's a lot of traction online for anything related to the film. So I don't know. I just think that they're probably all wise to the timing too. And it's that thing about strike while the iron's hot and while there's a lot of attention on it. So it's probably playing into each other, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And talking about timing and playing into things, let's talk about the event where we all just met and had a great time, and we can clue people into the awesomeness that is Contact in the Desert. So we were all kind of in groups, I guess. We came together at certain points throughout the event. But who wants to go first? Dale, Roz, Kelly, Sam, Oh, everyone's
Anybody
muted.
dive in? Everybody dive in. Somebody dive in.
Okay, we'll go. Sam will go.
Shoot. Tell us your highlights from Contact in the Desert. What you loved, No, actually, not what you hated. What you loved. Let's keep it positive.
Yeah, I like that. Honestly, I sound like a broken record, but the people are just phenomenal. The conversations you get to have with creators, with experiencers, with some of these people that you've, been reading their work and research for years, and you get to meet them face to face, and they're just another human being. It's so much fun, and I think it really, for me, serves as fuel once you go back into your normal daily routine for, oh yeah, there are all of these cool people out there. I'm not on an island, even though it can feel that way sometimes. Seeing Jacques Vallée was just, to me, surreal. That was the highlight probably for me. And Dan, I warned you.
I was
Well,
just going to say, you told me some cool things that he shared. So please share them with everyone, because I didn't see his talk.
There was a great presentation that he and Tim Gallaudet and Eric Davis gave. And he said something in that, and I actually wrote down, I went back and rewatched, because the videos you can now watch up on the live stream page if you purchase. And so I bought the Vallée package and rewatched it to make sure I had his words correct. And this is what he said. Quote, I mean, what are these beings? Why do they look like us? Are there other beings involved? I'm talking in my book, he was referring to his new 7th volume of his journals that just came out, about some of these things. Yep. About some of these things that are exposed that are not classified, and I can talk about them to some degree. Some study of communication with actual beings in labs on this planet that people are interacting with to try to develop higher level languages to prepare for communication. That's a different type of creature than we have ever really seen or known about. And so, Vallée, I think, is so careful with his words. And I liken him a little bit to Obama in terms of I take what he says with more than a grain of salt, whereas a lot of people, myself included, kind of word vomit, right? But when he says something like this, that's a pretty phenomenal claim that we have beings in labs on this planet. That really caught my attention. I've been thinking about that a ton ever since.
Yeah. What do you think he meant when he said being, that's intriguing, the way he said, do you mind repeating it? Beings unlike we've ever seen. What was the exact words?
Yeah. He said that's a different type of creature that we have never really seen or known about. Maybe that's the plasmoids? I don't know.
But even that, we kind of know about the plasmoids. We talk
That's a
about
good
that,
point.
right?
It
like the
definitely
depth of knowledge there is different, but it makes me
Right.
lean more towards what I just jokingly said about a gel with microbes that control it and is a life form. Like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah. Or it could be, like Abbott and Costello from Arrival, right? That was the other thing that popped into my head was these, who knows? But I really like, because I think there's many layers to the idea that so many of these creatures look, for all intents and purposes, like us. The differences are so minute, even when you look at a mantid or a reptilian, the differences are so small that talking about something wildly different is fascinating to me. And of course, I'm guessing that there's more detail in his new book, which I need to read, but that nugget has really been a whole lot of thought fuel for me.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting comment from him. I'd love to pick his brain. Same. I bumped into him for a second, and he mentioned that this was actually his last year at Contact in the Desert, which is super sad. He's getting on a bit now. We think of these people as just invincible, but I saw him. What would be
Yeah.
the term? Pottering around, I think would be the correct term. As old
Yeah.
people do, and
Well,
it to the extent that I was like, I don't want to impose on Jack's time here. Like, he looks busy, he looks tired. He just, I'm gonna just give him a salute, say hi, Jack, you're awesome, and then leave him alone.
mentioned that in his presentation that it's not just his last time at Contact. According to him, this is his last appearance at anything like this, and he's
There
going
you
to
go.
focus on his work and his research, which is sad because obviously we all want to be able to meet these amazing people, but also if that's a distraction, if it's become a distraction to him, and he's not going to be able to get the work that he wants to finish in his lifetime, that's what he needs to focus on.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd love to see another volume of his book. Just focus on the work, make sure that it's kind of like all compiled as you go along, and then just have one last big release as the final thing from Jacques and his final contribution to the subject. Because those things are heavy, but goddamn, there's so much interesting information in them. Linda Moulton Howe. Yes, Linda Moulton Howe was not a Contact in the Desert. She is, in fact, she lives in Albuquerque, and I was talking to some of those guys when I was at the archives. They're trying to get her material to add to the archives. Another one who's just getting on a little bit now. If this reaches you, Linda, please just chill, enjoy the fruits of your labor, enjoy the sunshine. You've earned it, I think. So
I
after
will
Jacques, go on.
Yeah, I just think it's in the same vein. Roz and I caught the live George Knapp and George Norrie, and just reflecting on, they're both getting up there too, and there's this sense, certainly for older people, it's like you got to manage your energy and spend it wisely. And it was a real privilege to be able to see Coast to Coast live. I don't know if it's their last time. I doubt it's the last time, but any one of these times could be the last time they hang up their skates. And it really made me reflect on how, for some of these folks that we're talking about, Jacques Vallée, Linda Moulton Howe, George Knapp, George Norrie, they're all cut from the old cloth. They had to suffer ridicule unimaginable to the new breed of folks that are entering this field. And they saw their way through it. And George Knapp, with 2 Peabodys, just kept on fighting through it and maintain his integrity and continued reporting as a fantastic journalist, as the fantastic journalist that he is. So it was enjoyable and fun to kind of see them in their element there, and their kind of like home barn, and they were having a lot of fun with the crowd, and Captain Ron as well up there on stage doing a great job. He's such a wonderful guy, and obviously he's been on our podcast, and Kelly, Sam, I assume you know him well too. It was just a great experience. It was just a great pick.
I'll say that much.
Right.
Seeing
You
him
learned
captain that ship and just pull in the direction. I'm like, oh, okay, I get why he's the Monica captain now.
Yeah. So I mean, it was definitely a highlight to see that Weaponized live as well. But to see some of the Some of the old brass just do what they do so well. And of course, my other highlight is just kind of to what Kelly said too, is just seeing people in their element. It's like seeing them in their natural environment here, and everybody just enjoying conversations, meeting and discussing. One thing that I would say is big shout out for the hotel in Indian Wells, like just the layout. It really allows for relaxed, communicative flows, and it's not too chaotic and stressful. And I certainly think for the speakers and hosts, it as far as my experience in conference world, that's pretty damn good for a layout to have at a conference like that. So I was impressed with that. But just to look off here and see Eric Davis talking to Jacques Vallée over here, and there's Jeff Nuccitelli talking to someone else over there, and you're just like, this is wild, right? This is wild. But, in such a supportive environment too, I felt like the energy was really positive around everybody there, and it was a great time. And yeah, so those are some of my takeaways.
Nice. I just wanted to bring this up here because, you're doing such a good job talking about the layout, but I guess some people might not know. Basically, we've got, this is where all the lectures are. Then you've got this massive pool area. And then there's a big lawn here. That's where kind of Chris Bledsoe did his Skywatch. And then right down here, there's another area where there are lectures. So there are like 3 floors where there are lectures, multiple buildings of multiple floors where they're doing lectures. Like, honestly, it's just a packed event. You could not possibly do anything. And then you have all the kind of merchants and stuff, some incredible artists like Sam Shearsmith, who worked with Joshua Cutchin on his new book cover. He was there kind of selling his art, and it's incredible. And various other people too. Though I did not get close to a anti-5G crystal table this year and have my phone not work, no matter how skeptical I was about the crystals. Roz, give me a highlight.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, Dale touched on a lot of it. I wanted to just first give a massive shout out to Jamie, who is just an unbelievable media manager who was shipping us interviews for weeks beforehand. And then when we were on the ground there, just did an unbelievable job of maintaining her composure and keeping those interview rooms flowing smoothly. And there was, what I heard from her was there was 200 interviews taking place over the course of those couple of days.
Yeah,
so
right.
she was managing all that. So anyway, it was
Roz,
awesome to
I don't
meet
want
her.
to interrupt other than to say, oh my gosh, I second that. That
Wow.
woman is a force of nature and made so much happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
I
many
hope that
Amy
personalities.
and Bree, all 3 of them just rocked it.
they
It didn't seem
they
like
put
they had
on
a
an
second to
incredible
breathe.
event.
Yeah.
And the number of times I heard people say, if other events were managed as well as this, I would go to all of the other events too. Because the consensus seems to be that this is by leaps and bounds the best organized.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
I was totally blown away. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
For us on
I've
the
been-
production side, that level of organization is really critical for the people that you're interviewing. So for all the hosts, they're shuffling around. They have busy schedules. They're speaking multiple times in the day, and they're taxed on energy. And the last thing they need is big scheduling mishaps and miscommunication and stress there. And then kind of coming to us for an interview, and they're already exasperated and stressed. And so by Jamie keeping everything so neat and orderly, it keeps everybody in a nice, relaxed mood. And I think it helps the interviews too to be really great. And that was our experience.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought I'd bring up the slideshow so we can kind of have a look through the event and show people what it looked like. This is the pool area.
Hey.
You can see the pool there kind of just over here. This fountain I actually ended up in fetching a beach ball because we wanted it in the pool, and I'm 40. I can go in a fountain if I want to. So yeah, the actual surroundings were gorgeous to kind of look at. Met so many listeners of the podcast. This is Dwayne, who was amazing. He brought us these incredible challenge coins that he made just for Contact in the Desert. So these limited edition things that he 3D printed and designed himself,
Wow.
which is very cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing to see him. This photo I love because it looks like there's snow on top of the mountains, but it's not. It's clouds
Yeah, Mount
coming over the top
Fuji.
of the mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It looks like, yeah, it was amazing. They're the mountains that I got to go into. This video I love. Check it out. That's a rare Eric Davis there. Having a look for where he needs to
in
be.
the wild.
Yeah, in his
In the wild.
Yeah, that's right. The Patterson
feel like
Field
honestly-
of Eric Davis.
It's just kind of how the event is. You can be anywhere, any place, and just bump into people like that and just have great conversations with them. This one as well. These were everywhere.
I got that photo too of the alien on someone's balcony, the blow up
There was
alien.
several.
Hidden in
I've never
plain
seen
sight.
more aliens there. And then this one, Dale. I'm gonna play it, but you talk through what this is.
Oh, I can't remember what's the company name. But it's really Psy Games. That's right. And so, without going into crazy technical stuff, they've kind of got a really ingenious way to use technology and this game platform to test your psionic capability. And it was really cool. And I had to move stuff on the left side and the right side. There's a boat and a garbage can. And I was really good at the garbage can and I sucked at the boat. So I don't know, that means something. But yeah, it's really cool, really ingenious. In my technology background, I was really taken by it.
Yeah, it was interesting. There's a bunch of games you can go to. I think it's psigames.com, psigames.com.
Right.
And you can play all these things. And yeah, there are just a number of games you can play that supposedly you're kind of, keying into with your brain and trying to make your consciousness change outcomes in the game for you. I don't know how they code this. I'd love to know more. So Dale, please chase up with them and find out, because you seem to be a little bit psychic, right?
A little bit. We're all a little bit psychic, I think. It's just whether you develop that, whether you decide to bend some spoons or not.
So this is us at the Weaponized live panel. Dale and I kind of wandered in beforehand sneakily. And then Roz and Kelly caught up with us. And yeah, we got to see Jeremy and George Knapp talk to Chief Wiggins here, who testified. He's the only active service member personnel who has testified in Congress in a hearing. Which is amazing. He was talking about the fact that he was given permission by the Navy to do it. So it seems like the Navy's pushing people to talk about UFOs, whereas everyone else is not pushing them to talk about UFOs, which is interesting because when I designed this patch here for the UAP task force, they asked me to put a trident in the eagle's claw to represent the Navy because they were taking the lead on this. That were the exact words in the email that I got from them. So they're very proud of taking the lead. And it seems like the Air Force doesn't want it out. The Navy does want it out because they need to deal with it. So yeah, we'll see. This was Jeremy Corbell's awesome Cybertruck. It's just called the UFO. That's what it's called. And it looks like a UFO right there. I actually stuck some stickers to it. He wasn't mad. It was fine. Then this night was probably one of my highlights. This is J2. He is getting in the zone. He's one of the psionics from Skywatch. And we were at a car park to kind of meet. It turned out to be 33 people, which if you know me, that's a really important number for me. And it seems to follow. So it was amazing that it kind of coincided here. And he's getting in the zone, trying to summon things down. So we went up into the mountains. There's Vinny looking at the moon. It was gorgeous. This was our final spot. And yeah, we were in this big circle following their kind of summoning techniques. And we also had night scopes and things like that. So they were really cool and they were also really bright. When I took my eye away from the night scope, I had to wait it was so bright that I couldn't see any stars. I had to wait for my eye to adjust again, which was kind of crazy. Then met some awesome people. These guys ran the the Unidentified Alien podcast. Do I need to say podcast twice? I guess that's like saying ATM machine.
And UAP studies, Jason is. They're in the
UAP
middle.
studies. That's it. Sorry. Thank you so much. Yeah, and Jason was awesome. He grabbed a photo with us. Then this one I love because it's a really funny video. This is Jeremy Corbell. Jeremy was super nice, and it was nice to hang out with him when he wasn't switched on for an audience. He's really quiet, really unassuming, really soft-spoken guy, which I guess you wouldn't know if you only watch Weaponized because he's very big and boisterous. This is Carl. Carl was the guy that got me onto the Skywatch in the desert, so thank you, Carl. He filmed a bunch. That's on his YouTube channel. Carl the Crusher is his YouTube channel, so go have a look. You can watch all the footage. So here you can see On the right is Darcy Weir. He's made a whole bunch of documentaries, and he's here working with Rob Fleece, who works for Watch Mojo. They have like millions of followers on YouTube, and they've started covering the UFO issue. And these guys, I took this while I was waiting for them to interview Chris Ramsey here. So we all had a really good chat, and then I got to get in there and chat. So I'll post that video when it comes out. And this is the one and only Thomas Jane. What a goddamn gentleman Thomas is. Absolutely love him. If we get invited back to Contact next year, you can expect him to be on stage with us at some point, along with some other cool guests. Thomas, so nice. I've known him through so many projects, and it is crazy to count him as a friend and to have him chasing me at the conference. I was like, what is this? It just felt wrong. But yeah, he's an awesome dude. Sometimes meet your heroes, you know? That's what I would say about Thomas Jane. Then this is Joshua Cutchin, who covers the whole idea of UFOs, death symbolism, UFOs as a costume, you know, the fairy, Bigfoot, everything like that as a costume representing one phenomena. I actually got to introduce Josh for this presentation, which was a real honor for me because I love his work and we'd only just become friends. So yeah, it was really cool. And I introduced him with the wonderful line, Josh has all the answers for you. Take it away, Josh. No pressure. So it was fun to see the audience reaction. He was like, thanks, Dan. Thanks. Great. Then these are a couple of images I wanted to include because Roz and Dale took them as we were doing our interviews. So this is me interviewing Paul H. Smith. You can see a little bit of our setup here. Roz and Dale did an amazing job setting up and just kind of getting that in-person interview down. Think of it just filmed like Joe Rogan. That's what it's going to look like. We had a 2-shot, 1 camera on each of us. Very much looking forward to seeing how they turned out. And it was such a different vibe interviewing people in person as well. Like it just had this whole other texture to it.
Yes. Joe Rogan without the studio. That was the challenge of that space.
Joe Rogan without the studio and without the douchebags.
Without the lighting also, you know, but yes, we definitely had the camera angles going.
Yeah.
Another shout out to Jamie and Contact and the Desert crew for an amazing like Wi-Fi. You know, we really relied on this on the setup of having good internet connection there. There's no wired connection in the room or anything. So just awesome that they had such a rock solid internet experience to enable all of this too.
For sure. And Cyan, I just saw your comment there about coming to Malta. Yeah, totally. We should totally go to Malta, Roz. And Cyan does CE5 out there, and they have really good results. He's always sending me video. So if we can get out there and
very
film
cool.
That would be amazing.
I would love to do that. Yes.
And we can see like the Hypogeum and all those kind of ancient ruins there on the island of Malta too. And maybe even find out a little bit more about the Knights of Malta, who we spoke about with, you know, this is Paul H. Smith, a remote viewer who worked for the U.S. Army. But, hold on. I've skipped a little bit too far. Yeah, we spoke about the Knights of Malta with Jason Samosa, not Momoa, Samosa. Easy to mix up, but, you know, just as charismatic as Jason Momoa too. So yeah, that's Paul H. Smith. Matthew Brown, the whistleblower, got to meet him and have a chat with him. Amazing. I'm now his connect for good X-Files episodes. So that's always fun. I sent him a big list yesterday. And the one and only Dylan Borland as well, who, of course, we also testify. Big Pokemon fan, and his favorite Pokemon is Mew. These are some photos that we got from, I'm not going to mention her name because she seems to like her privacy and be really, you know, cautious about who she kind of lets in. But this was shown to us along with like a massive binder of photos. And it was a blue binder and it was labeled Blue Book, which is hilarious. But these 2 photos stood out to me and I said that I'd look into them a little bit. This one, I just love the color. Haven't found anything on this one. This one, however, I found really interesting because goddamn, that's a sharp UFO photo, right? And so I was very happy to be able to send her a message and say, I've solved it. I found the original negative here, labeled, and it is from an art project that was made in August 89 by Joe Clower and a whole bunch of other people. And they made fake UFO photos and tried to pass them off. And they've ended up in this collection. And they were some of the only photos that weren't written on the back of as well. So it's great to be able to take those off the table. Still an awesome photo. Absolutely love it. You know, I want to get it printed and put it on my wall just to see how people think about it. But But yeah, it's nice to kind of just hit that low hanging fruit and, so we don't have to worry about it. There was some incredible photos in that set. So thank you, Blank, for sharing those with us. Not going to ruin this. This is from UFO Surfer. He covered his car in all these, it took him ages to just draw. How cool is that? So I just wanted to give him a shout out for the best looking car in the whole, conference. Jeff Nucciatelli, obviously he's been on the show here. He was amazing to bump into, such a lovely guy. I highly recommend if you can meet him, see him speak, anything, definitely do it. He is the real deal. Another one, meet your heroes. This I had to include because it is the first ever picture of Roz and I. So this will be a forever. We need it on a cake, Roz. When we get to a 5-year anniversary of the show, this is going to be the one on the cake, right?
That's the best. That was the best moment.
I'm sorry. I have one that was taken before that, seconds
You
before that.
did?
I apologize. It's a terrible picture. You guys are both just right, but it's early.
I want to see that one.
Predates that one.
Stick with this one. Cut
This
that
one's
part
better.
out
Yeah,
so that
Dale,
it's not on record anymore and stick with this one.
Dale did a
I
good
think
I'll go
I
on his
think
photo
I
job.
have
Sam.
it canonical, Sam. I think mine is canonical.
Yeah,
This is my photo
definitely.
here that I took of them. And Dan mustering up energy after obviously
Yeah.
having some kind of crash in this moment here before an interview. Just
And
energy dive.
Dude, sugar.
Yeah. I love that I look like I'm a doctor wearing a lab coat. So I'm like actually checking in on the patient. You
Yeah,
know?
that's right. Yeah. He's breathing. He's throwing up devil horns. He's okay. He's ready to go for the next interview.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Very fun first photo. Then this is me interviewing Jason Samosa. Like I say, if you don't know his work, go to his YouTube channel. We had a really interesting conversation because he grew up and almost became a minister in the Catholic Church. So we had a very interesting conversation about faith, UFOs, God, why he turned away from the church. I grew up in a Catholic school, but I was never baptized. So we spoke about the struggle with faith and the role faith plays in the UFO community and just believing people like whistleblowers and things like that. But we also went into the Collins Elite and the Knights of Malta a little bit. So hopefully you guys will have a good rounded view of that kind of stuff after the interview. There's Jason, Kelly, and Runes there.
Jason
Night out
is
with the
is
bald
so
and the
fun.
beautiful.
intimidating intellect.
I
Yeah,
want
he's
that picture.
extremely
Send
smart.
me that picture.
He's amazing. Such an amazing guy. I'll send it to you, Kelly. I'll send it.
Thank you. Yeah, he was one of everybody I met was wonderful. He was like almost as good as you guys. Almost.
You could say he's better.
Well
I
played.
prefer him to me. I would like to
I
look in
don't-
the mirror and see Jason there. Life would be better in that scenario.
No way.
Man crush.
Then this is me, Vinny, and Benji. Benji just popped up on screen here.
Benji's great.
He
Yeah.
There
came
he
into
is. Good
town
timing.
to chill out with us. Benji, you didn't tell me that Jason was a huge Blink-182 fan. Benji and I are massive Blink fans, and that's how we kind of bonded. Our potty mouths came out when we were hanging out at Contact in the Desert, and I think all you guys were a bit weirded out by it, but we were like, it's just Blink humor, Roz and the wonderful Sarah Gamm, obviously also been on our show. She used to work for the UAP
Love her.
Task Force.
Mhm.
So yeah, you got to have
The
a chat.
best,
And, yeah.
like the two best ladies, two of the best ladies right there.
Oh, that's too sweet. You're too sweet. It was awesome to meet
Super
her.
Tristan
I
is-
totally just hung out with her by the bar the first night I was there. I found her and then I just like talked to her for like 30 minutes. I was like, you're not getting away. Yeah. So it was awesome.
Then we have Sam, Kelly, myself, labeled human, so that you don't all get suspicious. Also Martin Willis from podcast UFO there, and Sarah Gamm. That was a fun one. That was just a snap. Sarah was walking through and she was like, let's get a picture. So it just kind of happens. It's a real good vibe. Even when you bump into people that are kind of salty on social media, they're really nice in person. So yeah,
True.
this is all of us dressed in our human costumes. So people don't get suspicious
Yes.
because it said on the ticket no non-human intelligence, so we had to just label ourselves human and hope no one
It's a little
noticed.
on the nose, guys.
This is Dale with a companion. I had to drag him away from this alien. Roz was behind him. I was like, Dale, be cool, man. Be cool. Roz is just behind
He's just
you.
my
You know,
little
you can't
buddy.
just
Yeah.
go hugging
Long
everybody.
days. It got to me.
Kind of summed up the event for me
Oh.
at this point. I was so worn out, just a deflated
Wasted.
alien that was, bright and colorful and reflective. I feel like it kind of caught the mood. That's Jamie.
There's
Heads up, Jamie.
Yeah.
Wanted to get her in. What an amazing
Mm.
lady. Like I say, along with
Oh.
Brie and Ron, you guys made it all happen. And she rocked those Kurt Cobain glasses the whole goddamn time. Made it look easy.
She did.
And this was our last picture, guys, before we said
Love.
farewell.
Yeah.
Right by
Yeah.
UFO surface alien car there.
Yeah.
That was after a tired weekend. This is me and Vinny
Yep.
with Science Bob. It's me with Jeremy Corbell. Really, really glad that I wore my human shirt here, that I didn't take it off, because the only other shirt I had was a bright pink one. So Jeremy would have had to go change, like that's what I'm saying. And then this is the bar area. One of my last pictures of the whole event, but my final picture of the event was this one right here with Rob Jones from News Nation. You would have seen him on the stream yesterday at the DC event. And to my left there, that is UAP Gurb, the most encyclopedic mind in the UAP field. He said to me, I said to him, Gurb, are you into the woo, the psychic stuff? And he said, well, I kind of am, but at the same time, when I'm bored, I really get my kicks reading instruction manuals for the US government. So that's why he ended up making these incredible videos about the US government structure and the structures of secrecy, because that's his jam, that's his lane. He said, I stay in my lane. I'm intrigued, but I stay in my lane. Super nice dudes. Super, super nice dudes. So yeah, that was my experience at Contact in the Desert.
What a time. That was great.
So now let's turn to UFO or UF No. I'm going to play the video one more time before I play the video where I show you what it is. Okay, so I'm just going to play this.
So help me if Sam ends up being right. Oh.
So here we have the light in the sky. It's moving from the left to the right in a line. We saw things like this all night. All night, these things were going. Just regular. They were all at different kind of heights and stuff. We also saw a bunch of what we called flash bulbs. They were just flashes at specific points in the sky. And at one point, I also, through the scope, saw above a telephone pole 2 lights that you could not see with the naked eye. And it was clear in that direction. Vinny was checking with his naked eye for me. We were both looking at the same thing. I could see the lights. He couldn't. So there was weird stuff all night. Okay? But this particular thing that I got the video of, it was not a weird thing. It was Starlink. I love the dismayed faces and the cheers. So you can see there, I worked with Flarky to identify this, and I'm only talking about this particular light, okay? Like I say, there were weird things that happened during this whole Skywatch, but this one in particular was a Starlink, and it did look really weird. I've never seen Starlink kind of flare up so quickly and disappear so quickly. They were in pairs as well. Flarky identified that. So yeah, that is one from the CE5 evening that we were actually able to solve. It is a UF No.
I mean, it was a UFO up until we found out what it was.
That is true.
You took
You're
the
technically
words
correct.
right out of my mouth.
You guys, I don't know that we solved it.
That's why we have you
Do you
on
guys
here.
know how much effort I put into just inching him closer? And Dan, you just set me back like a year.
Nice.
Oh no.
It's all Starlink.
I want to say sorry, but also I'm not sorry. I think it's really important to even in those moments where you think it's anomalous, and it's important to go back and check as much as you can. And like I say, there was other weird stuff that happened that night, so I'm not saying it's all BS or anything like that. They were an incredible group of people. It was a really interesting process, and I plan on taking a few peeps out into the desert myself next year and just running through a bunch of different protocol sets now that I've been armed with them. Just a really small event. And yeah, you can kind of see it for yourself. So Sam, maybe next year you can get Mothership to land or something, right? Fingers crossed. We just need radiation.
Now, Dan, when you say you have seen something, Sam's going to be much more likely to trust you. So that's the silver lining. I'm just going to hang on that for right now.
Sure. And I'm really eager to see all of those infrared cameras and thermal cameras and stuff that they had running the whole time to see if they picked up the stuff that I'm saying I saw but didn't get a video of, because I get it. I don't have a video of that. Some people are probably saying I'm talking nonsense. That's totally fair, but there were some weird things.
Yeah, it's similar to Skinwalker Ranch and how the high-speed cameras that they have now are often catching things that they can't see with the naked eye or the other filming or instruments. So, it's like we live in this time where it's more important than ever to try to verify and cross-reference and rule things out. We have access to technology now that people before didn't. And at the same time, it's like it's harder than ever to kind of catch the real thing because there's so many false positives and stuff like Starlink and whatever that's kind of clouding, fuzzying up the picture. But I just want to put it out there for anyone attending Contact in the Desert 2027. Sam and I have a special surprise for you. We've already been planning something that we'll reveal at Contact in the Desert. So stay tuned. You have to be there to see it.
Both of you occupy a zoot suit together, or maybe like be the opposite ends of a horse or something.
It'll be wild, rampant speculation for a year.
And it's tasteful.
Roz?
Tasteful.
Yes.
So a giant
let's room together and they can get their room together and you and I can just pretend we don't know them the whole weekend.
Let's do it. I think that sounds fun. I like that plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just be a fly on the wall for this whole thing. I'll take as many pictures and videos as I can, and we can make a comedy out of it,
Perfect. Sounds appropriate.
Amazing.
That
sounds great. So we'll do Skywatch. We'll do the surprise. And next year as well, a bunch of people found me. I told them to find me and say the word shiny and I'd have something for them. I ran out of stickers and posters on the first day. So next year I'm going to have more for people. I'll bring more and I'll gift them to everybody that says the word shiny to me. I do have one on the back of my phone. This one here.
The best.
Love that one.
I can't say the bad word. We're on YouTube. I'm not going to say the bad word. So
you can't.
But I think we'll call it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to the audience for joining us. Kelly, Sam, where can people find your show?
Anywhere you get your podcasts. Frightday is podcast. Visitors will be in the Frightday stream. YouTube, your podcast apps, wherever. And I hope to see you guys sooner than I fear we're going to. You guys are just the best. This is been really nice to talk.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Spotify or on your chosen platform. If you could like, share, or subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. It helps us find our tribe. If you'd like to support the show and get access to a 1-hour live chat each month and early ad-free access, you can find us at Patreon. Just follow the link in the show notes or at our website, tobehumanshow.com. And feel free to reach out via the contact page or email at hello@tobehumanshow.com. As always, remember to be curious. The universe is bigger than we know.
What It Means to Be Human is a double-barrel production. This week's episode was produced by Roz Mugford and Dan Zetterstrom. Sound post-production by Parker Mosley with technical support from Dale Mugford. Our theme music is by Thunderbird.